Okay, so at this point, we're at the bottom of your first column on your graphic organizer, and what we want to talk about now is the culmination of that intra-party competition, right? So we've been having all the way from January up through kind of like June, sometimes even July. Different states have been having their primary, they've been having their caucus. Some states go, like they're the only ones that do it that day and they get all this national attention. Some states do it, they'll vote as a block. Like there's a thing called Super Tuesday where a lot of southern states will all have their primary or caucus on the same day to kind of assert like southern influence or southern power. Regardless, the later primaries, the later caucuses are less attended. Why do you think they're less attended? Yeah, it's already done. Like I said, you guys, I have voted, like every time I moved to, I voted in Texas. And I would say that there's probably only been like 1 or 2 primaries that I've even voted in that the party wasn't already pretty much settled. And we vote typically in March, sometimes April in Texas. So that process, it really illustrates the importance of those early states. Did you guys pick up on what that vocabulary word was that means like where the states start doing it like earlier and earlier and earlier? Good, front loading, very good. It's this phenomenon of doing this process early and earlier. 20 years ago, Iowa didn't have their caucus until probably April. But now we've moved it back to January, and in, I think it was 2008, they actually talked about having it in December. So like the year before. I mean, that's like 11 months before we even elect the president. So I cannot stress enough the importance of those early states and how influential they are. You don't have to win Iowa. You just have to make a name for yourself because you want to keep making money, right? All right, so all of that is going to come up to the National Convention. Each party is going to have their own convention. Remember, at the convention, we are going to formally choose our presidential and vice presidential candidate. But the other thing they're going to do is write that party platform. Travis, can you remind me what the platform is?
Wait, can you read?
A platform. What's a party platform?
Like Democratic or Conservative?
Yeah, but what is the platform? Like, what does it do? Thank you.
To choose delegates?
No. We've looked at the platforms before. We looked at them last class, remember? Or maybe the class before. Roberta, what was the platform? Do you remember?
It said when they say what they're going to do, like what their purpose is.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like their policies. It's what they're hoping to achieve. So that's going to be written at the platform. But the fun thing, the thing that's going to get a lot of media attention is going to be this. So this is a, whoop, we're going to go back. Okay, so this is a clip from the 2008 Democratic National Convention, and this is where they're going to do the delegate counting. We won't watch the whole thing, but I just want you guys to see like how this works. And if you're on your phone, you need to put it up because you're being insulting to me right now.
Please welcome Democratic National Convention Secretary Alice Travis Germond.
It's an hour. I promise you won't watch it all.
Our Convention Secretary to call the roll of the state. Thank you, Speaker Pelosi, and thank you. Now, according to the rules passed by this convention, following the nominating speeches for president, we proceed immediately to the roll call. The roll call shall continue until we have a nominee, whom I believe will be our next president. It is now my honor to begin with the great state of Alabama. Alabama, you have
See, it's like a pep rally.
50 votes. How do you cast them?
Thank you, Madam Secretary. The great state of Alabama, one of the most diverse delegations in this hall. A state that is ready to cast the first vote of this convention for the next President of the United States.
She said we're ready. 48.
The great state of Alabama casts 48 votes for Barack Obama.
Madam Secretary, the great state of Alabama casts 5 votes for Senator Hillary Rodham Clinton.
Thank you, Alabama. Alabama cast 48 votes for Senator Obama and 5 votes for Senator Clinton. The next state is Alaska. You have 18 votes. Thank you, Madam Secretary. The great battleground state of Alaska, the frontier state that's turning blue up and down the ticket. Now, we will be electing Ethan Berkowitz as our next U.S. representative, and Mark Begis as our next U.S. senator, and they will bring you real Alaska energy to Congress. We proudly cast 3 votes for the brilliant stateswoman who put those 18 cracks in the ceiling. 3 votes for Hillary Clinton, and we proudly cast 15 votes for the next President of the United States, Barack Obama. Alaska cast 15 votes for Senator Obama and 3 votes for Senator Clinton. American Samoa, you have 9 votes.
What?
Okay, I let it run that long on purpose, obviously. So American Samoa, hold on. So remember, their delegation there, they're not voting for the president. They're voting for the party's choice for the presidential election. So American territories do get to participate in this process because there's a party presence there. They don't get to vote for the president. Why wouldn't they vote for the president, Pedro? You just said this. Why wouldn't they vote for the president?
Oh, because they don't have representation.
Right, because they don't have voting in the Electoral College. They don't have any congressional representation, but they do get to participate in this process. So what's going to happen is they're going to keep going and going and going until they get to that magic number, and once they get to that magic number, then we have a candidate. Okay? And that's it. So what did you think about the kind of people that were at the convention?
They're extremists.
Okay, they're probably going to be people who are more ideological. They're going to be people who are super loyal, because like that's super exciting to them to get to go to the convention. That's like the payoff. Travis. Yeah, there were, and I mean, you'll find, like, usually every year there'll be a story about somebody young that they'll let go to the convention, and but I mean, well, first of all, do you want to go? You know what I mean? Like for a lot of people, it's time out of their job and their life. I mean, I would love to go, but I couldn't. Like, I couldn't take off work and go, or, leave my family. So, yeah, you're going to find older people that have more time, okay? One thing that we still need to talk about at that convention, though, is this idea. What elements of elitism still exist in this process? Tell me.
Wait, I have a question.
Yes.
Why do they all have different numbers of people?
So it's based on the party decides. They say we're going to have this convention, and we're going to have X amount of people that are going to attend. We're going to let states that have more people, where our party is strong, send more delegation, and states that have less people, or where our party's not as strong, to send less. That's all it is. Victor.
So when they said that Alaska had 18 votes, was the 18 people there for Alaska?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 18 people that the party had chosen to represent the state of Alaska to go and reflect the will of the voters in the state of Alaska.
Did they, how many delegates does Texas give to?
I don't know, and I don't know that it's a static number either. Like, it could adjust and change, I would suspect, and it's different for the 2 different parties. You know what I mean? Like, they have a different number of delegates. So you'd have to.
What was the purpose of all of the people that she named before? Who were
I think what she was doing is that was her 2 seconds, her to go. Here's what's so great about Alaska. So she was talking about her state, trying to build support, and she was trying to make sure she wanted to give a nod to Senator Clinton, because she wanted that when her comment that she made about the 18 holes in the ceiling. She's talking about women breaking through the glass ceiling. So she wanted to make sure that she gave credit to Senator Clinton in terms of paving the way for women. Yeah. So, and I think that's an important distinction when we talk about the parties, because they always are trying to make sure that they're representing the other side. That they're talking about everybody, not just the winner. Okay? All right, so back to this question. What elements of elitism still exist in this process? Who can tell me what the word elitism means? Okay, rich people. Okay. All right, people are in charge. So when we think about this process, right, flash back to what we talked about last class. The Convention of 68, the reforms of 72, Who is not going to like the reforms that the Democrats have made to their party?
Rich people.
Kinda. Not just rich people, but what kind of rich people? The elitist people, the people who had led the party before. If I have, since 1940, given 20 years to my party or 25 years to my party, and I've given money, and I've given time, and I've given energy, and I've been at that convention, and I have been there doing my very best to try to get a Democrat elected, and now you're telling me that you're going to let these stupid people that have never been to a convention, that don't know what's going on, you're going to let them go and write our platform, and you're going to let them go choose our candidate? They're mad about it, okay? So the Democrats retained a portion of their delegates for those people. Who can tell me what those are called? They're the people that are guaranteed to get to go to the convention, regardless of what happens in the vote. All right, we need to know this word. Everybody write it down with me. Superdelegate. It is a super delegate. Have we heard that before? Okay, Sabato might not have discussed it in the book. All right, so a superdelegate. The Democrats retain, I think it's around 5%. A portion of the people that get to go to the national convention are superdelegates. Those are big donors. They could be like former governors or even current governors who've been really active in the party, people who maybe run campaigns professionally, pundits. They're people who like politics is their game in their life. And for them, allowing them to go to the national convention is like, in a way, it's a reward. You know, it's like, you know, letting certain people go to the Super Bowl always, or making sure that they get tickets, you know, season tickets to the Cowboys games. It's really that kind of idea. A good description is it's supposed to be like the parents watching the kids. It was this idea to make sure that there were still some people at that convention that knew the business of the party and knew what was happening. Okay, hold on just a second, real quick. The Republicans have a similar concept, and you'll need to write this down as well. It's called an automatic delegate. It's the same idea, but you will probably never in your lifetime hear discussion of automatic delegates in the press regarding the convention, but you might hear discussion of superdelegates in the convention discussed. Why would superdelegates be more important than automatic delegates if it's the same thing? I'm going to be so excited if you get this. Lexus, you think you got it? There's a Smarty in it for you if you got it.
Well, I mean, I can see like one is like, because there wasn't like a change really in the Republican, like it was, there was a change.
Just
Like,
chill.
Yeah.
No.
I got to answer the phone first, and then Hannah was the next hand I saw. Miss Rosenfeld. Yeah, no problem. Okay. Bye. Michelle, you're leaving? Bye. I'll record the rest of this so you can watch it, okay? All right. Hannah, you were next.
Don't do it.
Because the Republicans, all their delegates go to one candidate, and the Democrats, they're split.
Ah, very good. Marty, yes.
No.
All right. Yes. Okay, so just to clarify what Hannah said, because the Democrats split their delegates proportionately, if there is like two candidates that are close, there is potential that you could go to the Democratic National Convention and nobody would have that magic number of delegates needed, which would mean that the superdelegates would make the determination, which could potentially be 1968 all over again. Do you see that? Because you could have the elites who could be making the decision, which wasn't what the voters wanted. The Republicans isn't set up that way, so it's going to be a cleaner process. I guess theoretically it could happen, but it would be like weird. It would be definitely like a weird situation. We haven't seen that happen. There was potential for it to happen in 2008, but most of the superdelegates kind of backed off, and they said, we're just going to vote for what state we're from, whoever wins our state, that's who we're going to vote for, instead of voting for maybe who they originally had pledged to vote for. Okay, Pedro, you had a question.
Do they get like a